The trade deadline is only 1 month away from the recording of this video. Today, I'm going to be giving my 10 MLB trade deadline predictions. Doesn't mean they're all going to happen, but you know what, let's just get fun. What I came up with as far as trade deadline goes. As always, the trade deadline is one of the biggest days in the baseball season. Everybody looks forward to it. New teams getting brand new players, star players getting moved out. I'm not sure how many of these are realistic. I mean, hey, there's always a chance. The first trade I have going down here at number 10 is going to be Luis Rengifo of the Angels getting traded to the New York Mets at the deadline. So Luis Rengifo, believe it or not, is, I believe, leading the American League in average at about 315 at the recording of this video. He is literally on pace for a batting crown this season if he keeps it up. However, Rengifo going to the Mets have McNeil over at second base. I think the Mets could definitely upgrade from Jeff McNeil. I think Jeff McNeil can upgrade from a change of scenery. I have Luis Rengifo going over to New York Mets. Coming at number 9 on my list, I have going over to the Baltimore Orioles. So Scott, one of the premier relief pitchers on the trade market this coming July. A left-handed reliever from the Miami Marlins, and he has been highly touted now for about a year. I expect the Marlins and Scott to be part of a fire sale this coming deadline, and Scott is going to be one of the premier pieces going to a Baltimore Orioles team that is really good, looking to win a pennant this year, and they could definitely use a boost in their bullpen. Coming in at number 8 on the list, I have Jack Flaherty of the Detroit Tigers going over to Philadelphia and joining the Phillies rotation. This reminds me a lot of Michael Lorenzen last year, who the Phillies acquired at the deadline as well. Although I do believe Flaherty is a little bit better at this point in his career than Lorenzen. Flaherty has a lot more upside. He's still young at only like 28 years old. So there's still upside there with Jack Flaherty, and he's done really well this year, pitching to a sub-3 ERA with the Detroit Tigers, and the Phillies going for a pennant as well. There's never enough pitching for any pitching staff, and I have the Phillies adding Jack Flaherty. The 7th trade on this list is Cody Bellinger of the Chicago Cubs. I have Bellinger going down to Atlanta to join a Braves team that is in dire needs of outfield help. Obviously losing Ronald Acuna Jr. The Braves really need some outfield help, and they really need a big bat, I believe, if they want to be in contention, and a pitching arm if they really want to be contenders out of the National League. So Bellinger would definitely boost that lineup and that outfield defensively, offensively. And the Cubs very mediocre once again this year. I see the Cubs potentially selling at the deadline. 6th on this list is Jazz Chisum of the Miami Marlins. I have Jazz Chisum moving on from Miami in a big trade here. I think Jazz Chisum is a player that is highly polarizing, but I have him going over to the Kansas City Royals in a trade at the deadline. The Royals definitely going to go for it this year. They're hanging around the wild card race. I see no reason why the Royals would ever sell off at this deadline. They're going to definitely go for it. And Jazz Chisum definitely has some offense there, some good defense. Like I said, polarizing player, but he brings a lot of energy. And I see Jazz Chisum going to a Royals outfield that is in desperate need of outfielders. I mean, look around that outfield. It is really bare bones out there, so Jazz Chisum would be a much needed outfielder. The next trade on this list is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. of the Toronto Blue Jays going to Houston in a trade with the Astros. So the Astros, hanging around 500 in the wild card hunts. Definitely going to be more of an uphill climb this year for Houston, and I see them going for it again this year. And they're going to go ahead and get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. having a clear black hole over at first base, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. would fit that perfectly. The Blue Jays, kind of like the Cubs of the American League, just very mediocre, really can't ever get over the hump, and I think the Blue Jays should start selling off some of those pieces of that old core. We're going to keep it in Toronto here. We're going to have Vobichek getting traded as well over to the Guardians. So that, like I said, just with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the Blue Jays need to sell off. I don't see this team and this core really winning anything. And if the Blue Jays are smart, they try to sell off, try to get some good pieces in return. Vobichek and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. would certainly garner some of those great pieces. Vobichek to the Guardians definitely have a hole there over at shortstop ever since Lindor kind of went out. And the Guardians definitely going for it this year. Next trade on this list is Randy Arozarena, a team in the Rays that is also in the wild card hunt in Randy Arozarena, but I do have Randy Arozarena getting traded. The Rays, a well-known cheap team. The Rays do not want to pay Randy Arozarena for the next couple of years of arbitration, so I have Randy Arozarena getting traded over to the Seattle Mariners, a Mariners team that also needs some outfield help, I would believe. I think they could definitely use that. And Randy Rosara, I think, also needs a change of scenery. Has not done well this year. Good work out there with Julio Rodriguez in the outfield. Final two trades on this list include Tariq Schoolball getting traded from the Detroit Tigers over to the San Diego Padres. The San Diego Padres have been playing really good baseball of late, and even without Tatis Jr., who got injured about a week ago, they've really turned it on here. I think the Padres are going to be players when it comes down to the deadline in a month, and Tariq Schoolball, the Padres definitely could use some pitching. They have some pitching injuries right now, but like I said earlier, there's never enough pitching with any ball club, and the Padres definitely could benefit from Tariq Schoolball in San Diego. And finally, the last trade on my list includes the Dodgers acquiring Luis Robert and Garrett Crochet from the Chicago White Sox in an absolute blockbuster deal. Probably going to be the biggest trade of the deadline. Like I said, I have a lot of big trades here, to be honest with you. So highly unlikely these all come together, but Luis Robert and Garrett Crochet, I am at least hopeful that the Dodgers would be able to get it done. Look at Crochet and Robert, I kind of see a Trey and Scherzer 2.0, maybe a little bit worse, maybe a little bit better, depending how you look at it. But Crochet and Robert do have more years of control, opposed to Scherzer and Turner did. But I think they're both really, really good players, and the Dodgers are what everybody thinks, $1 billion super team and all that. They're far from it. They need a lot of help if they are going to be really true serious contenders for a pennant. There's going to be a ton more trades. If I didn't mention your team in this video, it doesn't mean they're not going to get anybody, but it just means they're going to get other players that just were not good enough to make this list. So it should be a fun trade deadline. As always, I'll be here to cover it when stuff does go down. And be sure to subscribe, like this video, and I hope to see you back here on the next one.